Welcome to the symposium or the panel AI, a new industrial revolution. So the impact of AI that we have towards industry, which is of course very important for Europe and for Germany especially. I have an exceptional board here with a lot of people that will talk a bit about that. But for the interest of time, I will not start to talk too much, but hand over to the first panelist, which is Wolfgang Wahlster. He is founder, and I would say the Mr. DFKI. I think I can say that. Tony wouldn't object. And he's also a person that foresees how industry will develop. He has developed the concept of Industry 4.0, which is now a worldwide concept, actually. And I was honored to be in the working group as well. And he will talk a little bit about it.
Yeah. Workmobile was mentioned quite often this morning, and I was happy. It was a very important project, at least for the small German country. It was the largest project we had in Germany, which was funded by the government completely, and it ran for more than 7 years and had as the end product was not only a book, 600 pages, which described in detail how the system is working. It was a spontaneous speech translation system for dialogues in different languages, and this was a problem we shared. For instance, with C-Star, we worked also together with C-Star, exchanged some data, and also ATR helped a lot in data collection for Japanese. But what I don't go into the system now. I just want to mention the role of Alex, because actually, I learned very early that when you have a very big and ambitious project, also the people management is extremely important. You have to learn that some people in science say, managers, this is bad. Well, we don't need managers, we do our research here. But this is not true. If you really want to work together and have a big project, it's also the human aspect, to team up with other people, to respect the results, and so on. And this happened in Workmobile, and I learned also a lot from Alex, because he is also good, he is an excellent scientist, but also a very good manager. You see this with his companies and relations to industry, and also fundraising is not possible by rocket scientists normally. You also have to have a certain understanding of what politicians are heading to. Anyway, this is Alex, and I learned, and we were both PIs in Workmobile. When you look at the German museum, we are talking about history now, Museum of Technical Science in Germany. This is on the Hall of Fame, Workmobile. And actually, we were very proud that Bill Gates himself came to Germany and wanted to see Workmobile working. And actually, I had the pleasure to go with him into his labs, Microsoft labs on speech and language. And he distributed our book on every table. He ordered 50 books. Yeah, when I was there, and gave them, because he said his people should learn. But now, let me conclude this part of the talk, because I want to go to industrial AI systems. But Alex, what we have prepared, and here is one of the team members. Feiyu also worked on this, and many in this crowd. We have people from Philips here. Volker Steinbiss, for instance. He was also very important for Workmobile. We have Hans, of course, and so on. But what I show you now is unique. This is the famous project plan. And other way around. We top down. But you see, this was a network, or not a neural network, but a Gantt chart with the critical pathways. And we had 130 work packages. Every work package had a lot of steps. And we had, constant management of this. And this was displayed in the museum. Why? Because the guy who gave us all the money said, Wolfgang, excellent, you have this network plan. I realized the Transrapid, this magnetic high-speed train, which is now in operation in between Beijing, and I think even Shanghai, yeah? And this train was also done in this way, and this was the same manager. And we said, train, we cannot talk about screws in speech language and so on. But he said this was a success. Please follow my advice. And we did it. And actually it worked. So thank you very much. And with the help of Alex always complained a little bit. This 120 people, and you see, we were the PIs, 2 PIs, and we followed the work plan, and it worked. Thank you. So now let's get more serious. This is now the future. We have just finished, and I worked very hard on this, the so-called high-tech agenda for Germany. It is an AI-first strategy, and we aim to have 10% of our economic output in Germany based on AI by 2030 already, by boosting labor productivity. And we have a lot of measurable milestones, more than 100 milestones, but I just have 3 of them here. You see some of them are very ambitious. For instance, 2029, very soon, 50% of the SMEs in Germany's manufacturing industry use already AI in their core processes. And this means also especially embedded. I come to this in a moment. 4,000 new AI startups, real AI startups, and the aim is to provide everyone with AI assistance on a broad scale, especially in Germany on industry and healthcare. I was on a tour last week. We had a meeting with French ministries, and we had signed a contract between Indria and DFKI. We work a lot with other European countries, and the idea is to cooperate, especially on AI standards, because in industry, standards are extremely important. So for digital twins, twin AI, for advanced machine learning, of course, for edge AI computing. This is a specialty in Germany where we are very good and leading in some areas. For physical world models also. A new trend, and today I will talk a little bit about what's coming up. I think ultra-compact language models are extremely important. We cannot go on with these gigantic models. They are good for if you work in the domain of coupling speech systems and language systems to, let's say, social media, because you can talk about everything. But let's assume you are designing a gas turbine in Siemens. You don't need to answer a question about when did Goethe write Faust. This doesn't make sense. In the industrial context, you can compactify the language models. Second, hybrid neurosymbolic methods. We already mentioned this in the morning. And our most ambitious goal is to have long-term autonomous systems based on multi-agent technology. And of course, also all the large models can be used. But I think it's important that we have systems which not only have this very short autonomy time, but can optimize something over a long stretch. For instance, you talk to the artificial manager of a factory and tell him or her, in 3 years, you should only spend 30% energy. Yeah, and then the system autonomously always follows this goal. It has backlashes, of course. Sometimes it doesn't work for 1 year. Then it has to change its own agenda a little bit and so on. This is what I call long-term autonomy. But we already have some success stories with agentive AI. I'm a big fan of agentive AI, not so much of generative AI, because generative AI generates more pictures, more text, and we already have enough. And most of this is also bullshit, I must say. So from this point of view, I share the belief with Google that they say we need, together with the agentic technologies, we need a filter. And the filter is often knowledge graphs. And so there's a revival of knowledge graphs, which is very important for Germany, because I remember the time where we were leading together with the US. I published the first book about semantic web with MIT and US people and German. At that time, we were really very good in this. And we have to come back to this. I am always talking about small action models. Action models means we train the system not on text only, but on action items. This means measurement data from embedded systems. Yeah? Typically in industry, you have not a lot of text. You have measurements, you have time series, you have spreadsheets, even simple spreadsheets, and tables. SAP also uses relational structure to describe the processes in a company, and they are very good. They have more data about processes than any other company. Google doesn't have this. Also, Zoom doesn't have process data because the processes, are often very secret, and only a few companies like SAP. SAP has, for instance, the whole processes of Bank of America. Believe it or not, they are not in US, Germany. The same as Wells Fargo. All the financial industry, because they don't trust, others, so they give this to SAP, and this is good. So we should use this, and. When we have action models, we can have symbolic inferences based on physics. Of course, we have to bring physics in. And this is one of my theses I will just discuss here very briefly. And I say small but smart. And we saw already this picture. I like it very much. I presented it already a couple of months ago. David versus Goliath. You all know lessons from the boy who defeated the giant. And because we focus on a single domain, we are less prone to hallucination. Hallucination is also a cause of too much information. And generating, this is even more important, and Hans was mentioning this, generating highly ambiguous responses, which we also don't like. So when we have smaller language models and small action models, they are faster, they cost less, they consume less power, and they are easier to manage. And sometimes they outperform even larger LLMs. So what is the next wave of innovation in the industrial AI? I believe that small language models, which are more compact and have high quality annotated data in a smaller domain, have an advantage for industrial AI. I'm not saying discard all the LLMs. You need them for general discussions and so on. But agentive AI challenges also the core assumption of generative AI that is driving today's arms race, namely that bigger is always better. I don't believe in this. That we therefore need ever more specialized hardware. I think if we meet again in 5 years, I can guarantee the matrix multiplication game is over. It's still needed, of course, but there are so many other algorithms, for instance, constraint reasoning, subsumption reasoning, and Google has recognized them. They have a special lab, but they don't discuss this a lot in public, which has so-called chiplets, which are on top of the GPUs installed on the next generation of chips. Also, Jakob is here. Attention was a big idea, and it's really the basis for transformers. But I still think it has to be used, but it's not sufficient for the next level. You need more. We cannot stop the research, and I think we will hear this later. Finally, let me say that industrial AI systems should not only be trained on text and images, but also in tables, measurement series, and sequences of actions. Of course, also process models. SAP actually has the first system which only works on process models. It's very successful also commercially. And if you have been at VivaTech recently, the CEO of Siemens presented also a system which is heavily based on industrial AI. I think this is a wave of the future. It's not good for every country, but one can say fortunately or unfortunately, Germany is still very much dependent on having physical devices produced, not so much thoughts and software. But this is our main income, and we have to have a new wave of innovation in this field. Thank you very much for your attention.
Yeah, thank you very much for this interesting insight. Next in the panel is Professor Feiyu. She's heading the German University of Digital Science, or a member of the German University of Digital Science. Plus, also, she's on so many advisory boards of basically think of a big German company. She either was or is in the advisory boards, including Siemens Energy, ZF, FATS, and the more. And so she has probably the best insight into big German industry. And so I'm really interested to hear your insights.
In the past 2 years, a lot of attentions have been paid to foundation models, large language models. However, I agree with Wolfgang. The next big opportunities, in particular for Germany and Europe, will be AI for industry AI. Because AI should transform the industry with respect to manufacturing, logistics, supply chain, and more. On the other hand, we will see industry AI is much more complex than only create chatbots. If we look at the industry data does not only include language data and speech data. There are also data about the machines, data about the 3D data of the machine designs, and every company which are working in manufacturing areas, if you don't start with the digitalization of your products, like digital twins, you cannot really be successful. And in addition, if we talk about industry AI, physical AI is very important. Physical AI combine the language with the physics, with the machines, right? It is about a lot of science. Therefore, knowledge, industry standards, maintenance, regulation are so important for the industry. If we deliver AI-enabled products and the AI-enabled process, we have to compliant, fulfill the standards of our contracts. The most contracts are not rule-based, are not probabilistic models, right? How can we overlap the gaps between probabilistic models, stochastic models with rule-based contracts and the commitments? It's a big challenge for industry AI. In addition, if we go to the factory, manufacturing, we have machines, we have humans, and it's very complex. Industry AI must combine the industry data with the knowledge and with the physical world. And furthermore, I'm sure if AI will be part of the transformation of the industry, the most European industry still have the linear business models. They sell a machine, get money, right? Some companies start with the services. They become more exponential. But I think in the near future, if industry AI will be the reality, there will no linear business model with the manufacturing industry anymore. All the companies which survive will have the exponential business model with the scalability. Therefore, every company has to start to think about the business model before start with the little use cases. And I want to share with you a very good news. The large language model, foundation model, are getting more and more intelligent, and they are getting more and more cheaper. If you compare the most expensive one with DeepSeek, DeepSeek is 30 times cheaper with the output. If you give the prompts as your input is cheaper than output. However, DeepSeek is 30 times cheaper. If you spend $90 US, you can create 1 million service tickets with this $90 with AI and 150 service documents. It means many companies can afford to access large language model, foundation model, and this will make the adoption of AI much easily. Because if you lead a company, you have to take care of the money and the budget very, very carefully. Therefore, every company have to integrate FinOps if they want to transform with AI technologies. I want to share with you this simple example with a robot who is working on the high voltage power line. And who is want to take over this job? I think everybody is happy that robot is doing this job, right? Therefore, we can say AI can really help increase the safety in the industry. And also, when I worked at DFKI, every movement, every location of the components of robots was manually programmed. Today, AI learn from observations, from training. AI can much more easily to adapt industry environments. This is a different approach. And in addition, you can think about, I think there's a new job profile. A new job profile is robot teacher. And think about what's the difference between human teacher and robot teacher. And finally, I want to close. Many people talk about then AI will replace us as human. And we are going to have autonomous enterprises. Since I have worked for SAP and I was global head of AI of SAP, autonomous enterprises was one of the key components of the business AI strategy of SAP when I worked there. And the future enterprise will, till now, my proposal, my suggestion will have 3 layers. On the top, we still have the humans. The business leaders, they are going to define the strategy, the guardrails, the priorities, and the product plan. And then the second layer has the big potential that the AI agent is going to translate our strategy into the workflow, into the governance, right? At the third layer, I think the AI agent and the humanoid robots will work with us as humans together. I'm going to give a talk next week for the communication team, for internal communication team. I think the humans will take care of the humans and take care of the collaboration between humans and machine and the layer 1 and between the layer 1 and layer 3. Thank you very much. Sorry, Alex, I share your private picture here. I have additional picture. Yesterday I deleted them, right? I share only one picture. And I'm so happy you didn't invite us to Arctic. Even today, some ice from Arctic will be nice. But I think I wish you a lot of new ventures and a lot of fun. And we looking forward to also time not talking about AI.
Okay, thanks a lot for this very nice insight. Next on the panel, we have Dr. Xuedong Huang. Sorry for that. I always make mistakes with these complicated names. You can make a mistake with my name as well. He's CTO at Zoom for AI strategy and AI services, so we all depend on him. So we have to be nice to him. And he has done tremendous things and created 170 patents, I've read. So I'm really puzzled how do you do that, because I'm always embarrassed to write only one. But he will give us a lot of insight. Probably he did it with AI.
All right. Thank you, Michael. It's really great to be here. I have a fancy video, but I want to use that towards the end of this talk. So you have to be patient. Thank you, Alex, for this invitation. This is really special. And I want to actually say 3 things before I show the video. You have to really be patient, okay? So the first thing is very special to be here. You know, Dr. Hertz demonstrated that 100 years ago, electromagnetic waves can carry energy across distance. That laid the foundation for the modern communications. 100 years passed quickly. This AI wave is going to be more powerful. That will carry knowledge, intent, and remove language barriers across distance, across countries. So in this moment, KIT really is a special place. I'm actually a product of 3 institutions. I worked at the CMU more than 35 years ago with Alex Weibel. And we did see the opportunity of AI and speech recognition, multilingual translation, neural nets, of course. He and I actually even worked with a joint paper on normalizing speaker differences. He has a German accent. I got a Scottish Chinese accent. So we really worked on using deep neural nets, not deep enough, to normalize the difference across speakers. Actually, in that neural nets, we had a bypass. That's almost the same architecture of ResNet or transformer skipping. We just didn't add enough layers. And because NVIDIA didn't give us enough GPU at that time, it was not even funded. So this is a really special 30-year cycle from CMU to KIT to Zoom's acquisition of Kites. We are proud Zoom is a global AI company. That is a communication company as well, related to the, what was invented 100 years ago and the KIT. That 30 years connection really is not by accident. I think it's by superpower, beyond the AI, right? So those are the 3 key points I want to really make. The AI wave is going to ride on the previous AI wave innovation. KIT really is a historical place. The second one is from CMU to KIT to Zoom. What a great story. Number 3 is Zoom's priority today is C2C. That first C is the communication we earned. It's a global footprint. There are about 1 billion accumulated Zoom client installed worldwide. Think about that impact, 1 billion installed client. We can remove language barriers thanks to the KIT and Alex Weibel's work. We have a strong team here. Sebastian, I think he's sitting in the back. He should have been sitting in the front, leading our team in Karlsruhe. This is a center of excellence for us to provide the same capability. Actually, it's already in Zoom production. If you're not aware of that capability, clearly you have not paid attention. So C2C, the second C is about completion. Zoom launched the ZoomMate. We know the most important thing is always the meeting like this, whether in person or lecture or on Zoom. If anything important, you're going to have a meeting. Zoom is going to carry that forward, complete a task on your behalf. Wolfgang just said, Zoom doesn't have knowledge about enterprise. That's the old knowledge. Zoom introduced agentic search for enterprise. We can index all the data you have, bring that to completion on your behalf for the enterprise. So that organization memory is a new capability of Zoom. So thank you for your patience. Let's roll the video on ZoomMate. This is your AI teammate. Carry the task of from conversation to completion, C2C. It's both to be and to see. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks a lot for the insight, also showing the new capabilities that we will have in the future. Michael Trombetti is the next one. He's co-founder and CEO of Translated, also an entrepreneur and investor in language AI, and he brings in the aspect of humans in the loop now that work together with AI, which is, of course, the most important aspect because we do it for the humans, and we sometimes also need the humans to do it better with AI, and he will talk about that, gives us a little bit insight here.
Thank you so much, and thanks to Alex a lot for the invitation. First, I want to say that we're running about 1 hour late. I'm the last one of this before the lunch. I removed 2 slides from my presentation, and this is the sign that the world is going in the wrong way. Germans are enjoying life, and Italians are trying to make order. So I co-founded Translated in 1999. It was one of the very first internet translation company, mostly human at that time, but we started using AI very early. Thanks to a great collaboration with Marcello, Luisa, and FBK, and Alex. And I want to thank you for this shared research for 15, 20 years or even more of that incredible adventure. So what we do is, what we focus on is human-AI symbiosis. So a machine that does the translation, that can learn from the corrections of the humans in real time through this technique of continual learning. And the model improves following the style of the user that is interacting with AI. And so you don't have to change and fix the errors all the time. Translated is now 27 years old. You're all customer of Translated. You simply don't know it because we mostly sell our technology in Silicon Valley to large tech companies. And so if you've been using Airbnb, Uber, and many, many tech companies in the US, the technology behind them, it's us. And some time ago, SpaceX contacted us, say, look, Marco, we need translation. And I was calling immediately Marcello and Alex saying, hey, they found aliens. It's our time to translate. And unfortunately, it was just the manual of Starlink. I'm sorry, no aliens coming. So what I want to share with you is basically 3 things today. One, share the challenge, the importance of the challenge, sharing some data that can be useful, and then some observation from the work we did. And so in order to celebrate the work that all of you is doing, I want to show you a video that try to explain why language is so important for humans, is so complex for machine, and why is the true tool that allowed our evolution as a species. Why is so complex for machine? Why every single time we try to do a better translation is so tough and we have to spend years to make a small progress? I think this video celebrates all your work and explain why.
Make sense of it all. You watcher, you show, and you just know to think the things just right. Feels no pain. No, you can see. Oh, how and it makes me low and look back. The look in your eyes, hold by the river, hold it be my mirror. Now can you feel me? This is our human touch.
I hope this explains why language is so complex. Language is the most profound manifestation of human intelligence. And I want to say it here, and there's some people today that thinks that you can build word model, you can model reality through motor control, to robotics, etc. And some people, including Jan, can. And I totally believe in the opposite. I believe that if you try to model reality through motor control, you get monkeys. And if you want true intelligence, you have to start from language first. Language is the most important factor for human evolution, is what made us different from any other species in the world. Every species have developed motor control. Complex language is something that is only human. And by understanding each other, we cooperate. And through cooperation, we design a future, and we also motivate ourselves to reach the future. Why what you're working on is the most important challenge of humanity. Yes, we would like to go to Mars, we're all explorers, but we're not going to Mars unless we allow everyone on the planet to be understood in their own language. So it's the tool for building everything else. The second thing I want to share with you is some data. Okay, please, the next slide. Yes. And so over the last 20 years, I think this is about 12, 13 years of data, thanks to a tool coming out from a research we did with Marcello, Luis, and FBK, we created a tool for translators that interact with AI. They can interact. And so basically the system is giving them a translation and they can fix the error. So in a consistent way, for 15 years, we've been collecting the amount of time it takes to a professional human translator to correct AI. And since machine translation is a great predictor of AGI, because it's one of the most complex challenges, it's also a proxy for artificial general intelligence. And so you can see in 2015, translators were taking about 3.5 seconds per word. That was statistical machine translation. We have the data also from before, but it's not too bumpy. And then as soon as neural nets came with sequence to sequence, we saw an immediate drop in time to edit, the amount of time. These are time per word. So we take a sentence, we divide by the number of words, and we get the amount of time it took for the average word. And so the transformer is one of the algo that stayed longer now, and is still going down at a certain speed. And if you project this, you will see that that line, the blue dotted line at the end, this is for us the golden standard. So we took some super well done professional translation by humans, and we measured the amount of time it takes to another human to review that. That for us is the benchmark. So when we reach that point, it means that the machine translation is creating an output that is equivalent to a single pass professional translation by human. It takes the same amount of time. Time as a measure of cognitive effort rather than editing distance that very typically is not a great metric. And if you can see, these are the tier 1 languages, the top 10 languages in the world, not every language, but is built on 2 billion sentences produced by 140,000 different translators in the world. So very representative of all the different kind of content people translate. We're coming 29, 30, 31. This is the time where if we continue with that speed, we will reach the singularity. So the work that this community has been doing for now 7 years is progressing slowly, but that progress is coming. And while this is happening, I want to show you the next slide, there is a few things that are happening. So first thing, yeah, please, this slide, correct. Global translators that were working with us, on average, were making about $30,000 a year working. No, some people are in India, some in Sweden, different costs, but the global average was about $30,000 a year. As soon as we made a lot of progress with AI, something incredible happened. Some people went to 120 and some other people went to 0. So first thing, the global market for AI translation grew, translation in general. The distribution of wealth completely changed. Those people that said, I don't want to use this tool, it's not my stuff, became too slow, low quality, and too expensive. Nobody wanted to work with them. While other people increased the revenue incredibly. But it's not this what I want to share. It's the next slide. Those people that are making $120,000, $130,000 a year working as a professional translator don't like their work anymore. They don't have sense of purpose. How did we make them so productive? We take a big document, we analyze the document with a quality estimation tool, another AI, and we say this 20% is what you need to translate, not the rest of the document, not the book, not this beautiful piece of content that was written, just these 3 sentences require your edit. And they do it. We share the benefit with them of the AI. They're happy because they make money. They're no longer happy about the quality of the work. And because translation, they feel like cleaning, instead of building the Sistine Chapel, being responsible for the beauty of a translation, they feel, so they're not building the Sistine Chapel, they're cleaning the toilets of St. Peter. That's how they feel, because they work on these things. So there is a tremendous responsibility that we have. And I think that what happened in translation is a predictor of what will happen in many other fields where AI gets introduced. We need to find ways to cooperate with humans so that we create better conditions for people, because we're creating this technology for people. And so there is a sense of responsibility that I want to share with you. So I made the mistake of optimizing everything. The company was very successful. And still, now we're losing the best translators. The top translators in the world don't want to work on the problem anymore. And so things are changing very quickly. And this is due to the first phase of AI. The first phase is the phase where everybody wants to save money through AI. But the true potential of AI is not about saving money. It's what we can together build for humanity. And so we need to invent better ways. Now, developers, I think, will be next. We need to invent better ways for them to do it. But this is what is really interesting for all of us, is the latent demand. When people ask me, what do you recommend your kids? I recommend them to invest, study, and work in a field where there is a big latent demand. What big latent demand is? It means that as soon as technology makes things faster, cheaper, and super high quality, people will use it way more. And translation, language technology, is one of the fields with the biggest latent demand in the world. We need every piece of content in the internet to be translated and make it available for everyone. Every scientific paper should be available to anyone in the world, and people want it. And so keep working in this field. What you're doing is incredible for humanity. It's one of the most important challenges of humanity. Thanks so much for your work. Never give up. And solve the problem, allow everyone to understand and be understood. Thank you.
Thank you, Marco, and thanks all of you for giving you our insight on the topic. And this closes this session, and now I hand over to the next session.